Hi, I'm Roger, and this is my shop, and this is part 2 of the 1988 Sun Tracker Party Hut rebuild. And in this part, I'm going to cover, once again, it's a slideshow because back when we did this in 2015, I had no thoughts even of making a video about it. What we're going to cover here is redecking it, where I got the wood for the deck, what kind it is, the marine carpet that we decided to use on it. We thought about using vinyl, but we like to feel a carpet better, even though it's a little bit harder to keep clean. And also how we constructed the wall panels and where we sourced some of that material and what we used, how it was put together. I'll be doing an iteration along with the slideshow on it when we get to that part. If you haven't seen part 1 of the demolition, there'll be a link at the end of the video here where you can go and watch us tear things apart. Otherwise, we'll get on with the build. Okay, here we go with part 2 of the rebuild. And this is a little bit of a shot of after we had put quite a bit of the stuff back on it and moved it back up to our campground. One of the first things I had to do was, I'll call them nose pieces. They mounted between the front of the pontoons and the frame. I brought those home and did a little quick rebuild on them. One of the cleats from whenever was put on crooked, and I was not able to get that off without breaking it, so I just left it on there. This here is the deck as we were putting it back on. We bought the materials from pontoonstuff.com, which, by the way, we are not affiliated with or sponsored by. It's just a source of where we got a lot of our materials. They're put down with what they call elevator bolts or deck bolts. We commonly call them elevator bolts. And you drill the 1/4 inch hole and you pop them down through and you give them a smack with a hammer. And they go down flush, and no, they don't show through the carpet. Previously, the old decking was held down by some self-drilling steel screws, and a lot of them had corroded and rusted off, and everything you see here, this is all stainless steel. And this is where we got the decking from, pontoonstuff.com. No, it's not cheap, but it is made for this type of thing, and some of the high-end pontoon boats like Bennington uses this same material. They do have a 4-sheet minimum order. We needed 7 sheets to do this. This is after we had all of the decking back on, and the nose pieces, but we had not yet done the carpet or the side rails or any of that. It took us a good part of a day to put this decking on. And here's a shot of the deck bolts that we used. The carpet we chose, we had debated whether to use vinyl or whether to use carpet, and we went with the carpet, as I had mentioned earlier. This is the carpet we got. Yeah, I think it was a little bit less than this when we got it 5 years ago, but it's 8'6" wide. Our boat is 8 foot wide, so this worked out well. And of course, we needed at least 28 feet of it. We actually bought more than that because I wanted to do the upper box deck, and I wanted to make an anchor box for the front, so we bought a little extra. They also have the adhesive for this. You buy it by the gallon and you put it on with a roller. Which brings up the next point. The best way to do this is to lay the carpet out completely, let it get flat, then roll up one side, glue that side down, lay that back down on the glue, and then we used every available clamp we could find to hold the one edge so it wouldn't shift. Then flip up the other side, apply your glue, and then glue your carpet back down. And we found that once we did this, if we pulled it out in the sun, the glue would set a lot quicker. And having heat and sun was no problem in June and July. We rented a floor roller from a local rental place. It was just a few bucks for the day. This thing is really heavy. And this took out every little wrinkle and everything in the carpet. And we rolled it up and down and back and forth. And sat down and had a couple beers, and then went back and rolled it again. And this is what it looks like here after it's been rolled a few times, sitting out there in the sun. And as you can see, that nasty motor cover in the back there that would eventually get redone. We did put the side rails back on each side, along with some new cleats. You can kind of see them there in the picture. And here's one of the cleats just sitting there. It's not bolted down yet. That gives you an idea. The cleats that were on there originally were made out of cast aluminum or some type of pot metal, and several of them were broken. These are chrome-plated brass, and we use stainless steel hardware to mount them. One of the other things we needed to do was, we call these sail panels. They're the panels that go between the back canvas and the panels for the head and the galley. And they were dented and scratched and so on. So we decided to take these and use a little Bic stripper and strip the paint. It stripped really easy. And then, of course, after they were all stripped and washed, as you can see, there's some dents in there. I fixed the dents and pounded things out and little body work on them. And then they were shot with a self-etching primer made for aluminum, then topped with a 2-part black urethane and a clear 2-part urethane top coat. You'll see that later on in a future video. Moving up to the walls, now that we had the floor done, the core of the walls I found that if I used this 1-inch thick pink foam that Owens Corning made, and I actually got this at Menards, it comes in 4x8 sheets. Obviously it's foam, it's light. That coupled with the sheet aluminum that we had bought in, actually I do not remember the name of the place. It's in Bettendorf, Iowa, but they are a supplier for people that build their own race cars. And it's a powder coated aluminum. It's powder coated on both sides with a plastic protective film on it. And you can get any color you want as long as it's either black or white. And here's some of the black. What we did was 3M makes a spray-on adhesive that is designed to be used with foam. It won't degrade the foam or anything. You spray it on both parts, as we've done here after the panel was cut. And then you let that dry to a tack. Of course, once these two pieces come together, you will not get them apart. So there's no moving them. You got to be right the first time. So what we did was we laid a whole bunch of wooden 1/4-inch dowels all the way down the styrofoam or pink foam, and then laid the aluminum sheet on top. And once we got one end lined up, we pulled out a dowel. And then we just moved on down the line till we got all the way down to the other end. Here's one of the, with the white. We used on the head side for the bathroom, for those of you that are not nautical. We used white on the inside and then the black on the outside. So this is layered with white on one side of the foam and black on the other side of the foam. A lot of the panels had to have, you got to have a way to get your wiring from the bottom to the top, and there was a good place to run a channel down the side before we put the aluminum structure pieces back on and enclosed it. And this is showing how we run the wire down the side. Once all of the panels were glued up, they were stacked up to wait for the next weekend, because this took a full day to get all these panels built. Now the next part came for putting all the aluminum back on, and this was done with rivets and rivets and rivets and lots of rivets. Hence a pneumatic riveter you see right all the way down there in the front. It's a very tight fit getting those aluminum channels back on. This, you see the rubber hammer there, the dead blow hammer, to kind of get everything tapped back on there. The aluminum panels still have the protective film on them. We didn't take that off until everything was mounted back up in the boat. That also gave us a chance to polish up the aluminum channels, and that you see they're kind of dull looking yet. But with all the work we had to do, we figured we would get all the work done first and then do the cleanup. Once all the panels were put together, we were able to bolt these sections back together. This is the section for the head. That's the cutout for the window. And even put together, these, one person can very easily pick these up and carry them around. The old ones we took off were so waterlogged, it took 2 men and a boy to move a section. And then things were falling apart as we were moving them. And there's the side for the galley. The wrinkles you see, or the scuffing you see at the bottom, that's just that plastic film that's on there. One of the other things we did, set the fence on there and got the rear deck put back together and set on there. On the right hand side you see, as you're facing this, is where the battery goes and the water tank for the sink. And on the left side is the starboard tank, which as you would turn around, that would be the right hand side of the boat. In the section, this is a center hinged lid that opens up. You can get to the port tank, the oil tank, the motor, the fuel tank switch, all that kind of stuff. Well, I'm hoping you got something out of that. It was a lot of work, and of course it was in July, June and July when we were doing it, so it was mighty warm. But we got her done, and if you enjoyed this, appreciate getting a thumbs up. And of course, we're always looking for subscribers, and if you hit that little bell icon next to the subscribe button, you'll be notified when we post another video. Stay tuned for part 3. That'll be coming up here in the next few days. Thanks for watching.